everybody, welcome back to another Top 5 Wednesday. Top 5 Wednesday, as always, is created by Ginger Reads Laney. I will leave the Goodreads group as well as her channel in the description below so you can check it out and join in the community. It is fun. It's a great way to interact with people on BookTube and you meet so many cool people doing it, so join. This Top 5 Wednesday I was very excited to do because you all know that I love this type of book, and that is my fairy tale retellings. So we are going to be doing my top 5 favorite fairy tale retellings, or just retellings in general. It doesn't have to be fairy tale retellings. I, however, am going to stick with the fairy tale retellings because those are the types of retellings that I read. At number 5, I have Entwined by Heather Dixon. This is a 12 Dancing Princesses story which stays relatively close to the actual storyline of the 12 Dancing Princesses. I loved the sisters' relationships in this one. I loved the humor in it. I also loved that the romance was not a main focal point of this one, but it was given time to kind of develop. It wasn't an insta-love. I liked how the magic wasn't a dark, creepy magic. It was more like a Disney-esque magic to it. It had even like a Beauty and the Beast kind of element to it with like living tea set. It was a lighthearted read. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it and I gave it 5 stars on Goodreads. My next favorite fairy tale retelling series is the Hagenheim fairy tale retellings done by Heather Dixon. She takes an actual historical time period such as like the Holy Roman Empire Germany-esque setting during that time, and so she takes that actual time period and incorporates a fairy tale retelling into actual historical events-ish time. So it's realistic with that element of a fairy tale. It's hard to explain, but it's great. And her Hagenheim fairy tale retellings feature The Healer's Apprentice, which is a Sleeping Beauty retelling, The Merchant's Daughter, which is actually a prequel to the rest of these books, but comes as the second book in the series, and this one is actually set in England, and this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it was awesome. It's probably my favorite book out of the series. The third book is Fairest Beauty, which should be obvious that it is a Snow White retelling. This one was interesting. I did enjoy it. I didn't overly enjoy the romance in it though. It was kind of a, well, might as well, I don't know, I don't even know what to call it, but it just kind of happened, and I wasn't a huge fan of how it came to happen. Does that make sense? The fourth book is Captive Maiden, which is indeed the Cinderella retelling. This one would be my second favorite. The fifth book is The Princess Spy, which is a Princess and the Frog retelling, and the way she kind of incorporated the Princess and the Frog was really creative and interesting, and I really enjoyed it. There's also a sixth book, a part of this one that I have not read or picked up yet, and it is called The Golden Braid, which is, of course, a Rapunzel retelling, and I am actually most excited for this one, so I hope to get that or pick that up soon. At number 3, The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest. This is a Swan Lake retelling, which I ended up really enjoying. I did do a kind of a talk in my November wrap-up about it, that it had some plot points missing, but I enjoyed the element of the Swan Lake retelling into the story, and she worked it out really well, even though she had a couple of that building up the conclusion kind of missing there. Everything else was exactly the way I liked it, and I liked the relationship and how, I don't know, I just love a good cheesy chivalrous romance. I love Melanie Dickerson's books because she has these kick-butt female characters who could probably take care of themselves really well but have no problem with being rescued by the dashing hero at the same time. And the dashing hero doesn't see these characters as weak damsels in distress, if that makes sense. So that's what I liked about The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest. The Huntress of Thornbeck Forest is book 1 in the medieval fairy tale romance series. Book 2 is coming out called The Beautiful Pretender. This one is going to be a retelling kind of mix of Beauty and the Beast and The Princess and the Pea, which by the plot sounds really good. These books are just perfect, and I still love how she weaves in the fairy tale retellings into a realistic world setting. At number 2 on the list, I have the Princesses of Westfall trilogy. This features Princess of the Midnight Ball, Princess of Glass, and Princess of the Silver Woods. These are a 12 Dancing Princesses retelling, Cinderella retelling, and Little Red Riding Hood retelling. What I liked most about these, again, were the relationships with the siblings and the general character mix. It's just all of the relationships really well. I also loved in the relationships how the romantic part of the relationships were not the main focal points or the main points of the story. And I also enjoyed how all three of them wove together so good, and he came into like this epic big conclusion in The Princess of the Silver Woods, and it was awesome. So I love when a book trilogy almost mixes in so well that you can't separate into a trilogy, because they did it so well in this series. And of course, at number 1, you can't talk about fairy tale retellings without mentioning The Lunar Chronicles by Marissa Meyer, which features Cinder, Scarlet, Cress, and now Winter. Cinder is, of course, a Cinderella retelling. Scarlet is a Little Red Riding Hood retelling. Cress is the Rapunzel retelling. And Winter, again, you can tell by the cover, is a Snow White retelling. This is a sci-fi fairy tale retelling, which is awesome. I haven't started Winter yet because I'm trying to get another book finished before I devote myself to this one and invest myself into this one. So that's why I'm not picking it up yet, but I have it borrowed from my library and I'm so excited to get to it. It is so good. It has a great ensemble of characters. It has fantastic writing. It's a cool world. What I like most about the Lunar Chronicles is the character ensemble that we have and the relationship that we have developed. There's just an all-around really cool cast of characters, and the villain is just nasty. There is also a novella in this collection called Fairest, which is Queen Lavanna's story. I don't find it necessary to the storyline. I ended up DNFing it for content purposes. I was almost disgusted by Queen Lavanna, like just horrified. So if you're not a fan of content that I normally mention on my channel, then don't pick up Fairest. It's not essential to the storyline. You still end up hating Queen Lavanna anyway. So, and her backstory doesn't make her feel like the misunderstood villain at all. Like, it's just, don't read it. So I'm very excited to see how this will all conclude and wrap up, and I'm so excited. It is so good. If you guys haven't picked up the Lunar Chronicles yet, do so. I do rate it a mild content rating. Scarlet was a little bit more content rating than the rest of them, but overall, no language. Only Scarlet had a little bit of sexual content with some weird make-out scenes, and just Scarlet and Wolf's relationship is just weird enough as it is. But other than that, there's some pretty clean content in there. So, highly recommend this series, and it is my number 1 pick for the fairy tale retellings for Top 5 Wednesday. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you want to join into the community, I highly recommend it. You meet some really cool people this way. So as always, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.